I wanted to pose the question today. Do you feel safe? Could be, do you feel safe in your body? Do you feel safe in the world? Do you feel safe in your relationships? Do you feel safe walking down the street? There's a lot of areas that would cover that. But I do believe, and of course, I certainly include myself in that, that at the core of us, in our nervous system, nobody really feels safe. It looks to me like all of us walk around with a deep core trauma contraction. And then we build a life on top of that, and we're just hoping to make the best of it. I've heard it said, that we're born into sin. We're born in sin. And if we understand what sin really means, and I'm sure you've heard it means missing the mark. It doesn't mean something that you're bad or something, but it's missing the mark. Now, if we are born in sin, born into sin, it's because we are born into the matrix, the false light, the simulation. We're born into something that is not real. And it doesn't resonate with our core, with our foundation, our spiritual divine foundation. It is very opposite from that, because there is a split that happens from being one with the divine, being not separate from it, to where we're born into sin, into separation, into a lie, where it's like there is me and then there's God, and then there's right and then there's left. So we are born into duality. That itself, that very act of being born, is basically we're born into a lie. And in our core, we just know something is wrong. And everybody, this is everybody. So I always like to find the innocence in myself, in my clients, in my friends, because there is an innocence and we can't always see it. But the innocence is there in each one of us, and it's simply covered in this veil of illusion. And that makes us behave and act in ways that are very contrary to who we are. But because everybody is doing it, it's like the purity of who we are has not been welcomed here, has not been witnessed in the way it needs to be. In my own life, I feel that when I am in a situation, in a circle, in a community, where that specific subject of our true nature is being cultivated, it's being welcomed, it's being witnessed, it's being listened to, then my nervous system starts calming down, it starts relaxing in areas that I may not even know that they're not relaxed, that my nervous system is not relaxed. But when suddenly the surroundings are creating what feels like natural and real and true, then there's a natural like, oh, oh. And it's like a feeling of, oh, I can just be myself. And I remember when I was training to become a Hakomi therapist, which was many years. It's not just a weekend workshop. It took many years, took all the training, supervision, practicing. But the core of it was many times for myself. And of course, I see that in my clients. It's like, oh, I can just be myself. I can just be myself because I'm being seen as myself. I'm not being controlled or manipulated, or being told I shouldn't feel that, or I couldn't do that, or I'm being cut off, interrupted, made wrong. And the thing is that we all do that. When I look back in my life, like, oh my God, I did it all the time, And then as I learned to come more into myself and learned about the truth of who I am and others, definitely that Comey training helped me a lot. I started getting in touch with who I truly am and started living from that more. But it's still not fully welcomed in the world. I notice still, like, if I do share from that place, depending on who I'm with, I'm going to be cut off, or they're going to talk about their experience as if it's the same as mine, but it's not. And then it feels like, it's like, oh my God, I'm not seen, I'm not heard, I'm not allowed. And this is not a personal thing. This is very impersonal. This is the impersonal way that the matrix, the illusion, the error functions. And as soon as we are identified with that, that is how we function. But it is not personal. So if you also find yourself doing that, please know that it's not personal. It's not like you're doing something wrong. You're simply in the grip of the matrix. And the matrix, that is what the matrix does. It always creates this duality and this division inside of us first, and then we're divided here. Then, of course, we bring that to this seeming world, this simulation. And when we all do it, we're all cutting each other off. We are not seeing who we truly are. We're interrupting. We're trying to manipulate. It's endless. It's endless. And we all do this. So we collectively, we create an environment here that is very unsafe. I wonder if you've noticed that. Some are very blessed to be in a family, in a relationship, in a community where the focus is more on creating safety for that being to unfold and express itself authentically, purely, innocently. And when you receive that kind of environment when you grow up, your nervous system is more attuned to that, and you have a resilience in you that you can bring into the world. I didn't get 1 ounce of that when I grew up. It's like Pernilla was just a wreck, and I would say she still is, but luckily I'm more and more connected to the truth of who I am. And then that other part of me can start relaxing more. But I still have plenty of work more to do in that fully melting into who I am. So what I want to share then about that, what I find so important these days, is that we do connect with others, whether it's one person, it could be a coach, a therapist, a teacher, a friend that you fully trust, a smaller group of people, a larger, not too large group of people, where the focus is to create a safe environment for us to give birth to who we truly are. And when we witness that in each other, that part of us comes to life. It's being it's really being birthed into this dimension where it has not been welcomed before. And this is such an important part of our journey right now. I have a number of groups that I'm in that I've shared with you. Some are just private ones, some are, organized one that I invite people into, that I create, because I find it so important. And you're always welcome to join some of mine. I'll put the link for one of them in the description below. But I know that when I am in these groups, and everybody has a chance to speak from their deep core, from their truth. Nobody's interrupting them or commenting on it or cutting them off. There is really a space where this true essence can find expression. And there really is nothing else that feels better than that. This is what we are all longing for, to feel safe, to feel seen in a way that we're welcomed and we are, it's okay to be who we are. And that is what we all grew up in, that it is not okay to be who we are. And it is so violent. If you really think about it, it's so violent. And because others are doing it out there, we learn to do it, and we do it to ourselves, right? We go like, oh, is it okay? Can I be this? Can I say this? Can I express this? So we do it to ourselves first. That's why self-love is such an important piece of this journey. And then when we start embodying ourselves more, then we have a buffer. We're not so much impacted by the world that is still doing it. And then, of course, when we are in an environment where everybody is really welcoming that part in each one of us, then we start creating a whole new energy. We bring in the divine, literally, into this dimension, if that's even possible, but we bring it into our consciousness and our awareness, and we start living from that. Can you imagine if there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands little groups all around the planet who are practicing with each other to speak from the depth of our being, from our authenticity, undefended, because we know we don't need to defend anything because everybody is welcoming that part. That's how we should be born, right? Instead of being born into sin, into duality, and it's not okay to be you, imagine we're born into this complete acceptance of who we are, so that we do not need to hold ourselves back, contract our nervous system, and walk around in the world like, is it okay to be me? And of course, some have it more than others. I've definitely had a big dose of that from my own upbringing. But that's maybe also why it's so beautiful for me to be in these environments and to create them for others, because I know what it does. And it's just the best. It's just the best. But in that, we are also bringing heaven on earth, because we are bringing our own heaven in here. So we live more from here than from here, right? So if this resonates, I always say, find some people where you feel safe enough with, where you could maybe start, at least have a conversation around it. Maybe have some things that you share that you're afraid to share. And maybe you can start touching in on it by just saying, this is really scary for me to share. Would you be okay just listening? And this is the way I would like to be listened to or witnessed, so I really feel it's safe. So we can start creating these little sanctuaries, in our lives with others. And you're always welcome to join one of mine, or reach out to a few more friends and just have this conversation where there is a curiosity, like, well, how can we learn to fully be ourselves and feel okay, feel welcomed in it, feel seen without being judged or criticized. So this is it's really, really alive in me these days. And I am going to create more groups like this, because I just feel like in the groups is where we can really practice it together and normalize it. It's like it's going to be more normal to just be who we are. And when we feel that inside, we will not do all these weird things that probably people judge us for. We can just be ourselves, and then we are being it with people that we feel safe with. There's just time for a deep breath. So, my wish for every single one of us, and I really mean this from my heart. This is so important, is that we can feel safe in ourselves, and we can feel safe being who we are with others. It's that sense of safety. Then the nervous system can relax. And then we bring more peace to the planet, right? Just because we are more at peace inside. And then, of course, we bring that peace with us everywhere, and people will be able to feel that, and they may go, oh, I want some of that too.